Today we're talking more about the ENTJ in this Myers-Briggs system. So we often refer to this person as a strategic commander. They are extroverted, meaning solar powered, energized by the outside world. They thrive under intuition, so very big pictured, wondering what if, what could be. They make their decisions preferably by logic and ideas. So with a thinking preference, of course, we all think, we all feel, but ENTJs prefer that thinking preference to make decisions. And then with a J preference, judging, they want closure. So this does not mean that they are judgmental, but they really want to see their environment as decisions to be made and make that decision pretty quickly. If you want to know more about the Myers-Briggs system, make sure that you check out our website, kjconsultinggroup.com, and we could teach you more about that. Today, we're going to dig into 7 tips to learn more about the ENTJ and how to implement this in your own work. Some famous ENTJs potentially are Steve Jobs, Margaret Thatcher, Whoopi Goldberg, based on their behavior. So here are some tips for if you are an ENTJ, if you think that strategic commander is your Myers-Briggs type, here's some tips to make yourself incredibly effective. You definitely thrive on strategy and execution. So some things you might consider are first, map out the vision. So you thrive with long-term plans, creating that structure and framework. Like framework is probably a word that gets you, kind of lights you up at work. So make sure you take time to number one, map out the vision for yourself and for your team. Second tip for ENTJs is to lead with purpose. So you are likely able to really motivate people around your big picture plans, and it's a gift. So make sure you use that wisely and really think about like what are you going to kind of leverage that power for. A third tip is to balance action with listening. So even though you have these really great long-term plans, it's still important to bring people alongside you. So make sure you slow down and pause to be able to take in new perspectives and consider if there is something in your plan that you didn't consider before to make sure that you include that. A stretch opportunity for ENTJs is to make time to build relationships and check in with how your coworkers are doing. Sometimes doesn't come as naturally for an ENTJ. You really thrive on that, making long-term plans and executing and driving people forward. It's also important in your execution of your plans to be able to develop strong relationships with your coworkers and to understand more about their perspectives, where they're coming from, and that'll make you even more effective at work, both with your one-on-one connections at work as well as big picture with a larger team. So make sure you take time to build that relationships as a stretch opportunity. Now, for folks who work with ENTJs, a lot of us do, and they can be incredibly powerful and great coworkers, just like all of us can. So, if you work with ENTJs, here are 3 tips. Just know that they value competence and efficiency at work. Very important. So, one tip for working with ENTJ is to be prepared and direct. Again, they're thinking about like strategy and long-term planning. So, the more that we can be prepared and direct when we meet with ENTJs, they'll really value that. They value that, appreciate your clarity. Because they, just like a lot of us, they don't want to. They feel like their time is wasted, so they want to make sure that you're direct and prepared when you meet with an ENTJ. Second tip for working with ENTJs is to talk about outcomes. So remember, they're focusing again on that strategic long-term vision, focusing on outcomes, on framework. And so it's important for us to also just speak right to that preference that they have to stay solution focused and strategic when we talk with ENTJs. And then a third tip for working with ENTJs is that, they're open to being challenged typically. So if there's a way that we can challenge them respectfully, they'll welcome your critical thinking, your thoughtful debate over ideas, not just agreeing with them no matter what. Like if you have a good question, a strategic question, something that might help make their plan even better and make the execution even better, they will typically value the debate. So anyone honestly with an NT in the middle of their letters in Myers-Briggs, intuitive and thinkers, they will often respect that debate and bring that to the table. So that could be something that you can, a way that you can work effectively with the ENTJ is to, again, respectfully challenge their ideas and kind of bring some questions to the forefront that will make them better. If you know the DISC system, it's similar. It's also based on the work of Carl Jung, just like the Myers-Briggs system is. So ENTJs often reflect high D traits. So they're very driven, competitive, direct, assertive. And so you might see some overlap if you know the DISC system that they're likely going to bring some of those D traits, just like in DISC. We love to do this work. So I do online coaching, I do in-person coaching, I do team building. So if you're interested in learning more, please let me know. Reach out to us at kjconsultinggroup.com. We have a contact form as well as our email address there. Thank you so much.